The president has just awarded the crew of a U.S. nuclear submarine one of the military's highest honors, but they won't disclose what exactly they did to earn it. I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. Let's try to get to the bottom of this story of under the sea secret missions. Okay, so the Virginia class submarine, I believe it was the USS Washington, also known as Blackfish, recently received a Presidential Unit Citation. Now, in terms of units' ability to earn awards, Presidential Unit Citation is one of the highest you can earn. And so it is really unusual because typically a Presidential Unit Citation is something rewarded for wartime service. This was during a 6-month deployment with the U.S. 6th Fleet. And what's most interesting is actually the citation itself. Now, Presidential Unit Citations are not uncommon, but they're also, well, they're pretty uncommon. I should say that, right? Let's even find a list of the citations that have been given out recently. And it looks like basically Operation Enduring Freedom, there is just a handful, including some non-U.S. recipients, but it's been awarded to the Navy SEALs, Special Warfare, Combat Crewmen, Special Forces, Air Force Special Operations Command. So this is also awarded, the Presidential Unit Citation, also to members of two members of the Australian Army embedded with the Marine Expeditionary Brigade Afghanistan for actions in 2009-2010. So this is also really interesting. There's also awarded to Task Force K-Bar. So these are really just reserved for really some of the most elite of the elite units. Again, you can see here that, well, there's just not that many listed. And so let's talk a little bit about what exactly these guys did, right? Now, we can infer some stuff, right, from the actual citation itself. First off, we recognize that the whole crew also earned the Arctic Service Medal, meaning that they deployed at least for portions of this under the Arctic Circle. But it also conducted port visits in Scotland and Norway. And so this, I think, is interesting because they also said that the crew completed vital national security missions and intelligence gathering, right? And let's see if we can find, there was also a chief intelligence specialist deployed on the submarine. And it was the first time that an intelligence specialist earned a submarine warfare qualification badge. So really interesting stuff. And it's pretty rare, right? But it does say in the citation that the actions it took were vital to national security and resulted in obtaining sensitive and unique intelligence information, right? And, of course, it executed the maritime strategy, right? Which, no kidding. So we're going to break down, I think I found the story that this might be related to, at least my best guess at this time. But before we talk about that, if you feel like you need to go under the sea to get things done, you're going to need a little bit of a boost, right? And so you might just need a little more caffeine, right? This is Strike Gum. It is the energy drink alternative. I took all the caffeine of an energy drink and packed it into a single piece of gum, but it's sugar-free and has 100 milligrams of alpha GPC in each piece. So if you're looking to leave energy drinks behind, dudes, it's 2024. You don't need to be spending $5 on a Red Bull to get everything that Strike Gum will give you instead. And so so if you want, check it out at strikegum.com, right? We got free shipping, got all the deals. We're also the highest rated energy gum on Amazon. And so this is a no-brainer, right? So again, link is in the description. You can get us on Amazon or you can get us at strikegum.com. Okay, let's talk about what I think the story is. So what I tried to find is actually a story that might have broken during their deployment. So their deployment took place in 2023, May, June, July, September, October, November, December, which means that the story itself may have actually broken a few months after that, right? Up to 6 months after it. So when I looked around for stories, the one that I've found that seemed most likely to me is actually this story here. It says, quote, military aircraft search for Russian submarine seen off the Sligo coast, right? And this is from June of 2024, but it says it actually took place, right, a few weeks prior. And this would, if not the submarine, it could be a submarine. We know Russia operates nuclear submarines. They're one of the only other countries to do so. And it says that the Russians actually deployed this submarine in the Sligo coast. Now, the Sligo coast, guys, you could see here, is actually right off of Ireland, right? And you can see, so here is Scotland, where you saw the port of call. Here's Norway, and here's the Sligo coast. So it says that there might have been a cat and mouse game taking place of some sort in this area. Again, and the military seemed very intent. Their military seemed very intent on tracking this Russian sub. So a French submarine detection plane flew off the coast, right? As well as a Poseidon P-8. And so it says that Ireland is central to a network of undersea cables crossing the globe, and European intelligence agencies believe that Russia is preparing acts of sabotage in EU member states leading up to the European elections that took place a few months ago for us, June 7th. Right? It also acknowledges that about in the months leading up to the Russian invasion, the Russian intelligence ship Yantar was also spotted off the coast of Ireland, close to a privately owned submarine cable running between North America and Ireland and the planned route of a Celtic North submarine communications cable. So, what does that say to me? That says that the Russians have demonstrated an interest in having their submarines operate in close quarters to a strategic connection, right? These undersea cables. And what's interesting is, remember, the Russians may not want to necessarily interdict them, but a lot of traffic, and not just civilian traffic, but very likely diplomatic cables and other secure traffic may pass through those undersea cables, right? There's not really a way to effectively broadcast that sort of stuff. And while you could have things like satellite links or Starlink, it seems like a lot of cable, even not necessarily highly classified traffic, but again, routine diplomatic cables, and even the ability, even if they're encrypted, just getting the volume of cables moving back and forth could be really valuable to Russia, particularly given Western support for Ukraine in the conflict. So what I suspect may have happened is that the submarine may have been said, listen, whatever you were doing, the Russians are doing something with these undersea cables, and we want you, the Blackfish, to tail this submarine and let them know that we see you, and we want to know what they're doing. So they could have been tailing the submarine for weeks or months, trying to figure out what the Russians were up to. They may have even decided to show themselves and just literally follow this submarine and let them know, listen, whatever you're up to, we're telling you that we're going to know about it. And all of those things are highly possible. That is my leading guess, is that it was somehow involving this Russian sub that was operating there in approximately the same time frame, right? Or maybe a separate sub that was operating. Because again, clearly the West really wants to know that it's there. And if you have a U.S. military asset tracking that Russian sub, you probably will not need to deploy all of these assets to find them. Do you know what I mean? And so the fact that it was spotted, all of these were deployed, says that by the time took place, again, a few months after the Blackfish returned to port, it says that NATO views tracking these subs and knowing what they're doing as a high priority. And the fact that they couldn't do it after the Blackfish came back says that, I suspect, at least gives my theory, is that the Blackfish was tailing these guys, making sure they knew exactly what the Russians were up to. Because as we've talked about, we in the West are like, no, we can't interfere in Ukraine, boots on the ground, too much, just give them money. The Russians are under none of those compunctions. They have engaged in a sprawling campaign from election interference, propaganda pushing, buying off the media, U.S. influencers, sabotage, literally burning down burning down ammunition depots in the West, military equipment, sabotaging facilities that manufacture military gear. All of it is responsible for is a part of a Russian campaign, right? They don't view they don't distinguish like we do, where we say, listen, we can't do, okay, we're supporting Ukraine, but we can't do this and that and this and that because Russia will think we're belligerent. To Russia, they say, listen, we're treating you as belligerents. We don't view this. We don't view this the way you guys do. If we think it will benefit us, we will destroy these undersea cables. We will spy on you. We will try to tap them. We'll do whatever it takes. So anyway, guys, that is all I had for now. We're going to try to stay abreast of this sort of story, but I hope you got some value out of it. And of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Huge thank you to our Colonel tier members like Bill Collier, Robert Colburn, Gaius Marnie, Gina Cuesta, Chris Gorsuch, Francis Carius, AL90, and Petra Taru, as well as all of our Lieutenant tier members. I could not do this without you guys. I appreciate you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.